Okay, so I want to take us back, Arthur, to, I believe it was 1875. Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, utters his famous saying, "God is dead." Now, when people quote Nietzsche, they often say, oh, he said it with bravado, we have won, science over faith. But if you read, the full text, you realize he was, even though he himself was not a person of faith in the traditional sense, he was very concerned about a world without God. And in many ways, he predicted what we are seeing what we saw in the 20th and what we're seeing in the 21st century, which is nihilism, which is the lack of meaning and purpose. So we have Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. And then I believe 2009, William Damon from Stanford published the book, The Path to Purpose, where he talks about essentially the young generation who are, in his words, drifters, who are going through life without a sense of meaning and purpose. And the question is, what's the antidote? Is it the two questions? Do we need to do more? What do we do in schools? What do we do in the workplace to bring more coherence, purpose, and significance, to bring more meaning?
Yeah. So how to find meaning in and of itself is sort of the Lewis and Clark question of life, is what it comes down to. Because that's actually not just a thing to find. That's the journey to start. That's what really matters in all complex things. If you want to answer a complex question, you better dedicate yourself to working on the solution and trying to find the answers over and over and over again for the rest of your life. And that means it's not a destination, it's the journey itself. That's the key thing to understand about these questions. For what would you give your life? Why are you alive? Work on it. That's what it comes down to. And then revisiting it and working on it again and again and again. The impediment to that, Tal, now there's actually very interesting new neuroscience that talks about why people are more likely to be drifters. There's this very interesting data that was collected by UCLA that asked, what's your number one goal in college? That asked, the undergraduate, so you've seen these data, going back to the mid-1960s, 1966, number one, 89% said, my number one goal is discovering a meaningful purpose in life. Mm-hmm. Now it's 49%. It's gone down to the second to last category in what people say is an important goal for their undergraduate experience. That is the reason for this emptiness. This is the explanation. It's not these newfangled things about what we're finding. All these activists are telling us that young people are bummed out about what's going on in the world. No. They have less of a sense of meaning and they're not looking. This is what explains the explosion of mood disorders, particularly among young adults. This lies behind depression and anxiety, because if you don't have a sense of meaning and you're not even looking, because looking is finding.